We are live. No countdown today.
Mike screwed it up.
I did. I hit the button too soon, and I'm like, oh crap! I forgot the countdown. This is what happens when I come on a day that's not normally my day. I screw everything up.
Well, welcome to Thursday, where screw ups do happen.
So I'm covering for Zach, as you can see. Zach is gone today, so we'll blame Zach.
Okay.
You can always blame the person that's not here.
Yeah.
Good morning, Service Alliance community. We are here to screw everything up, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
We're here to let you know this is why you need policies and procedures and SOPs put in place. So
I would
screw-ups don't
still
happen.
screw that up. I don't care about the policies, because you can still not follow policy. And I do that plenty.
I feel like we need to just not talk or just goof off for the next minute to give people time to normally
we'll just sit
here. Give time that they normally have to get on. Anyways.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's too funny.
Look, we got
we
Joe
got
on
people watching right now, so.
And just so you know, I don't have access to put words on the bottom of the screen.
I am on it.
Since Zach.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Adam.
Zach thinks I'm crazy still, so.
Just a little.
Just a little. I mean, we are both from Illinois, so I think we're both crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're from Illinois too,
and I am too. Yeah, Zach and I live in the same town, so.
Yeah. Nope.
But we're Northern Illinois. You're Southern Illinois.
You're crazier.
So it's like a different country.
100%.
There's night and day difference compared to where we each other live. All right. What's Joe saying? Joe says we're so best to get some snow. Oh, supposed to, I guess. Get some snow this morning in the middle of the desert, hopefully. Okay. Not sure where you're from, but in the desert.
Well, it's going to be 50s and rainy today. So at least rainy later today.
Same here. All right. Well, would you like to open us in prayer this morning?
Sure.
And I'll do the verse.
Okay. God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for bringing us here, for the breath that we had in our lungs as we woke up this morning. I pray, Father, that you just give Mike and I the words that you want us to hear or to say, and that you open up the ears to the listeners, that they get what you are needing them to hear, Father. And for the rest of the day, that you keep them safe, that you protect them, that you let them live in abundance today, and bring them home safely at the end of the day. For that, we give you the praise and the glory. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. Jojo says he's in New Mexico. Holy cow. New Mexico getting snow. Wow. Morning, Iggy. How you doing, Jeremy?
Good morning, Jeremy. Top of the morning to you.
Morning, Andrew. All right. So today, what are we talking about? We're talking about aligning our goals with our values and why it's important. So I got a verse that fits this very well. Matthew 6:24. No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. This is a perfect example of when you serve two masters, and you'll always have conflict. There will always be conflict in your mind, in your heart, in anything that you try to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
So have you ever had that? You ever tried to serve two masters, Shayna?
Put me on the spot. I
I am putting
probably.
you on the spot. That's the best kind of spot to put you on.
I probably have. Give me a minute to think about a subject and a time.
Yeah, I know I have. I mean, when you're like this Bible verse uses God and money as the two conflicting things, right?
Yeah.
You're either chasing money or you're chasing God's will, right?
Yeah. Well, that
And
was going to
you're gonna
be,
always have that conflict if you're trying to serve both.
yeah. I
So
was going to say that's probably, I was going to say that probably is really truly the most common because we
yeah,
are, and when you think of money, it's not just the physical money, it's what you can buy with the money. So most of the time we're always searching for the latest and the greatest. What's the next best phone that has come out? What's the next best of a specific brand? Whether it's a shoe or for women, bags, computers. Like, what is it? Are
just
you
stuff.
searching for that? Are you
Yeah,
searching
we
for
we
that?
live in a country where we've got a lot of stuff. We're I was talking about this with my friends in our group the other night on Tuesday, and it's like, we really do just focus on a lot of stuff here in the United States and having and collecting stuff.
We have a lot of stuff, but yet we look around and go, "Oh, but I don't have that stuff."
Right. It's like it's never enough. We're always chasing something, right?
You get
You
those
can say,
sponsored
living
ads
the
from
dream.
Amazon.
Yeah. There's always an Amazon box or there's an Amazon truck rolling down my street every day, every few hours, right? So everybody's got to have the stuff and
Yeah.
everybody's wanting to sell the stuff so that they can have the money to buy more stuff.
Mhm.
If you look at it that way. I mean,
Yeah.
so how do we align our goals and our core values together so that we can stay on track and stay more focused and serve one master
Yeah.
and keep God in that mindset, right? Sometimes it's really hard to keep God in the focus of that.
I think part of it is so many of us, we have we have values in our head, but we don't have them actually nailed down. And that was one thing that we did here with my entire team over the month of like the end of January up till Valentine's Day. And then we had a Valentine's Day to discuss the core values and what we picked and why we picked them. And then you could change them up. And we did. Um, because most people don't have core values. Like
Mhm.
like we could be like, okay, well, I'm honest, I believe in integrity, I live a life of integrity, I'm trustworthy. We could say those types of things, but do you actually have those down and actually truly make them a part of your life?
Yeah. Do you live it? Do you breathe it? Do you believe it?
Hmm.
If you don't believe it, how are you gonna live it?
So do you have core values?
I You know what? This is something I never really sat down and wrote them down and really thought it out. So this was a really challenging thing when I was going through this book. I learned a lot.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I never really thought about aligning everything in this manner,
Yeah.
as far as my goals and my priorities with my values.
Hmm.
But I mean, I've like just like you, I've got it up here
Yeah.
and I know what my values are.
And
But you don't realize, that you don't have things in alignment until the crap hits the fan,
yep.
or a situation comes up and you're like, this is a struggle. This is a problem here.
Yep. So the three that I came up with from the exercise that we did, and I didn't have anything written down before. Actually, I wrote these down on February 11th, like literally like one of the last. I'm a procrastinator, so it was one of the last days. And mine was creating freedom for my family,
Hmm.
always improving, and helping others achieve growth. Those were my three. But I mean, like they don't even have to be that like go pick actual words. So we've got a list of words: affection, alignment, appreciative, attitude. Like, you can even pick something simple, but having them down. And then once you have those down, let's think about the goals. And that's what we want to talk about today, is getting those goals aligned with your values.
Right. We're going through our mastermind right now. And one of the exercises that we did, it's the very first exercise that I sent out that was like pre-homework for everyone in the mastermind. And it was before we set the goals for your business. We actually, and I did this at the Service Alliance group when
Hmm.
we all met in Cincinnati for a whole weekend.
Yep.
So we had our business retreat, and I put this document together, and I said, let's you need to know your personal goals, all right, for your life. What's important to you, in your personal life, for your family,
Yep.
your spiritual life, all these different areas. Your just even selfish things, like what do you want?
Hmm.
Whether it's a new car, or something really selfish like a boat, some just toys, things like that. And what do you want? Write them down, and then now you've got something that's kind of a visual that you can look towards. even even
Hmm.
if you even if you get to the point where, what, I want a boat, say, but just getting to the point where you can afford a boat, you know even if when you get there you don't want the boat anymore.
Yeah.
You've achieved the equivalent, right?
Yep.
So everybody in our mastermind was like, why are we starting with this? But if you don't have that figured out, how are you going to do your business goals and align that with
Yep.
your other things, which are your values? Because if you're looking at your personal life, um how can you align your business with your personal life
Yep.
if you don't define that first?
So I think this might be a good example. So buying a boat. So you mentioned buying a boat. So um, putting on a goal for later on. One of my core values is creating freedom for my family. If I was to go out and buy the boat right now on an impulse buy, I would actually not be creating freedom for my family because it's financially not feasible for
Right.
me, or it should be. It would be bad financially for me to put that extra stress of the payment and maintenance on my family at this time. So that's, I think, a good example of knowing what your core values are. My core value is to create freedom for my family. So unless I can feel like I can financially afford everything that comes along with that boat, it's not going to be something that I do at this time. It can be a goal later on, but not
Right.
right now.
That's an absolute perfect example of, um most business owners, and I'm going to speak to myself, but I've seen a lot of my friends and colleagues and stuff and acquaintances do the same thing. When the good times are good and the money's really good, you see that boost in your bank account. Now you want to spend,
Hmm.
and you think that you have the freedom to spend. And just like you said, you buy a boat, you put that burden on your family, and it's, like you mentioned, maintenance for the boat. And that, now you got storage and you've got insurance. It's not just the expense of the boat itself,
Yep. Boat
it's all the
dock
other things
and
that get attached to it, like leach, and you got to take all that into consideration. Or you just spend on your own business, thinking this is going to improve my business by having a new truck. Is it really buying that new van? Is it really going to help your business, or is it going to put a strain on your business?
yeah.
So, it's not just the strain on family, it's the strain on the business, and the strain on yourself. So we all have to really look at what we're doing with every decision that we make and how it's going to affect everything down the line, behind the scenes. And those are the things that most people don't really consider or think about.
One of the things, so the chapter that we're basing this off in a book that we're reading, it says people often set goals for what they want in life, but their daily and weekly activities don't reflect those goals and values. Um, yeah. So getting clarity on your goals, making a list, and aligning. They're even talking about even your activities. Do your activities align up with your values? Are you um, Are you helping others achieve growth like mine is? Like, what am I doing in my life to achieve that value? Um, hmm.
Yeah, could you imagine a charity um not having a clear vision and purpose, and their values and goals not being aligned with each other, and that charity is just taking in money and money and money, and they're building their bank account, and their their vision and their values, say their values don't align with the goal of serving people. Maybe it's like a food pantry, for example, or something like
Mhm.
that. Just for an example, a food pantry, you would think that the goal is to feed homeless people or needy people, whatever the niche may be, in the focus. But if the values are to be greedy and just spend wildly, it doesn't align with the goal. So the goal ends up getting the short end of the stick. So I mean, you really have to look at people values have to align with your business values.
Well, I was just going to ask for those of you listening, who here has core values in your business, and are they written down? So if you're on here and you're listening, like if you got them where you can put them in, put them in here. Like, and then is your business lined up with your core values? So a good example for us, we fired 5 clients last year. It took us down below where our goal was for the year, but made my team so much happier. And read 3 of those were fired because they didn't live a culture of honor. And that's one of our goals, is to have a culture of honor. They didn't have consistent client satisfaction themselves. They were constantly avoiding customers or taking money and not giving the money back and not doing the service. Like, it was all of that, and we were getting hounded by customers. Um, and so we realigned our core values last year. We had our other ones for about 2.5 years, and we decided that we needed to relook as we're growing my office of what are our true core values. And then we started adjusting our clients off of that, because otherwise I have these core values, but I'm not living the core values. Our business has these core values, but our business was not living the full core values by letting clients in our lives that were not living them either.
Right. I mean, they got to be a good fit, and
Yep.
your your clientele has to be in alignment with your core values, right? So that's a perfect example of a customer and your business being in alignment.
Yeah.
And your employees need to be in alignment as well. I'll be transparent. This past month, I fired every single one of my staff all in one day, and I'm in the process of rehiring every single position. So I'm looking through hundreds of applicants right now, and it's overwhelming and daunting. But it was it became very apparent to me that none of my employees, they had lost sight of that core value and that goal,
Yeah.
and it was affecting my clients. And for me, as a business owner, I have a certain standard and I have certain core values that I want to deliver and uphold and be that type of company and present, what needs to be done. And I said, you know what, if you aren't fulfilling this, and you've been here, a year and a half to 4.5 years, that was the average range of the employees that I let go. They'd been with me that long. And
Hmm.
I was like, if you don't get it by now, you never will. And for the longest time, they seemed to get it. But somewhere along the lines, it all fell apart. And I can only blame myself because I don't know where I failed to keep that message alive in the company, right?
Yeah.
So, um, as a business owner, everything falls on us. It's always
Hmm.
our fault, always,
Yep.
100%. And somewhere along the lines, I failed, and it all blew up, and it came to a head, and I needed to clear the slate and hit that reset button. And it was a very, we're talking about clarity today. That was a very clarifying moment for me when
Yeah.
I came to that realization. And it wasn't just me getting pissed off and just saying you're all gone. It was just an epiphany. And I was like, something completely broke down here with every step, and I needed to hit that reset button, and that's what I did. And sometimes we need to do that, and it's okay. And yeah, it hurt me. It set me behind. It buried me, and I'm working an insane amount of hours right now. But I know it'll get better. But I had to do that because what I want in my personal life and for my family, it aligned. That
Hmm.
decision aligned directly with that.
Yep. So the question going forward, though, is as you build your team, what are you going to do to keep it in their face? And that was one of the problems that we had
Hmm.
before we had our new core values. I couldn't list our core values. I think there was three, maybe there were four. I don't have a clue. I couldn't even list them. So if I can't list them, I guarantee you none of the other team members could list them.
Hmm.
And so when we redid ours in the fall, we also looked at how are we keeping these in their faces. And so we came up with all these procedures. Not only are we now hiring and firing, because we did hire and fire by them, but they weren't anywhere, so they're now posted. We actually do a weekly person that shows the core value. So every Thursday, next week's core value gets put out and it says, okay, people, it's time to vote. Who is the person here that exemplifies this core value and why? So it gets the core value in front of my team. My team has to, they're thinking about these. So every week they have two core values in their face. This is the core value for this week. This is what all your one-on-ones are. This is what anything that we do in the business is based off of. And then on Thursday, this is next week's core value. Let's start thinking about next week. So we're trying to more ingrain and embed it in them. Um, whereas before, like I said, nobody knew what it was. Other than we hired and fired by it.
Right.
That's all. That's all I knew. So we're doing a lot more in depth because we do know the importance of having it. We just didn't know how to get it to them.
Now, how much in your particular situation? I know you've got a lot of employees, where most people that are watching are one man shows, maybe two or three man teams,
Hmm.
even. Um, it's a lot more common to be smaller than what you are, obviously. Um, so how much of a part of that process was your team involved?
So, well, as far as the team and building the new ones, you mean?
Yeah.
There, it was really just me and Andy and Jason, and then we have a business coach, so we brought the business coach in on them also. But like even if you're a one man shop, You need core values in the business. We've
Right.
always, since Jason and I originally took over my family business, we've had core values since the very beginning, even if it was just him, because I have to know what my business is built on. I have to know if that
Right.
customer lines up. Do I line up as an owner? Do I line up with the core values that I'm I'm living? If I had a core value of consistent client satisfaction, but yet I'm not here to actually truly satisfy my clients. I'm here for maybe the money aspect, and I'm avoiding clients and I'm not getting back to them and I'm leaving them hanging in limbo because I don't wanna answer I don't wanna look for where the status of their part, then
Hmm.
I'm not living that core value. So it doesn't matter if it's a one-man shop or if you have 200 people.
Right.
Like, you need those core values, and you need to engrave them in you so that you can live that, and you can know why you're doing what you're doing.
Right. Um, like what Joe says, always do what you say, especially for the customer. They always appreciate honesty. That is so true. Um, that like I was behind on a project and I had an issue to where I had one of these disgruntled employees um that I let go. He sabotaged one of my client sites because I didn't pull his access soon enough from the server, and I had to have that hard talk with the client and say, "Hey, I'm a few days behind, and now there's this issue that cropped up, and this is the situation." I was completely transparent and honest, where originally he was pissed off that I was just late. But once I explained what happened, he was like, "Oh, I totally get it." He's like, "Yeah, take all the time you need," and I ended up getting everything done, and it worked out great. And it was only a matter of a couple of days, delay, so it wasn't huge. But it's that type of alignment with your values
Mhm.
that if you don't have, if honesty isn't one of your values, you're going to lie a lot. You're going to cover things up. You're never going to see things for what they truly are, and everybody's values are different. So your core values could be completely different than mine. And, any everybody watching could have 100 different core values apart
Yep.
from each other. And it would be so cool to like really see that if everybody wrote down their core values and then we started looking at laid them all out on the table, and you're like, wow, yours are way different. And even the ones that are very similar, they're going to have different levels of standards
Mhm.
because somebody else might have really high standards on customer service where somebody else, is like, yeah, that's a core value, but it's like not really important to me. It's just it's the thing that I list because it's what should happen in a business. So if you write it down and you look at it that way, is it really a core value?
Yep.
Is it really core, or is it just something that you're like, okay, customer service is important to me. It's cliche and everybody's gonna put that down just because it's the thing to say in business,
Yep.
right? So I mean, there's sometimes I struggle with that when I talk to people and do business coaching because some people get it and some people don't, and it's really hard to, I guess, get some people to really understand and get it,
Yeah.
and some people will never get it.
Yep. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So clarity is a really hard thing to teach. you know it's one of those wisdom things. You can't teach somebody wisdom. they
Yeah.
they have to figure that out on their own a lot of times.
They have to start reading books
Yeah.
and listening to podcasts and getting in with smart people like you and EJ and
like me and EJ.
Zach.
Yeah. Well, you got to
People
surround
who line
yourself
up with
with
their
smart
same.
people.
I was gonna say
I
people that
surround
line up
myself
with your
with
core
smart
values.
people. The people, you're the average sum of the people you surround yourself with, right? So surround yourself with people who are as smart or smarter than you, and you'll improve every day because they'll help hold you accountable, and that's what you should be doing for others. Hold them accountable, and you should always be mentoring somebody. So if somebody's mentoring you or multiple people are mentoring you, you should be passing that on as well. So that's my squirrel for the
Just
day.
squirrel.
That's my squirrel.
It wasn't a huge squirrel. It was just a small
No, but
squirrel.
I stopped myself. I caught myself early. Didn't want to
But it
go
was a
down that
good
rabbit hole.
squirrel.
Yeah, it was a good squirrel. All right, we are half an hour in.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get going on some of these other topics next week and see where we end up with this book, because this has so far been a pretty good one. What's the name of it? And
It is.
hold the book up
This.
so everybody can actually see the
Yep.
cover and know what it is.
It's called Business Ground Rules by Tony Jerry and Peter H. Thomas. It's a very plain, basic book, Be Great in Business. One of the reasons that I suggested this for this group is because there are actually 12 topics, and within each topic are subtopics. So, for instance, thinking, this week we're talking about clarity. Next week, I am assuming is going to be time, the strategic and focus and brand. And then underneath that is on the average 5 to 10 chapters, sometimes a little bit more, but each chapter is only 2 or 3 pages. So it's, if you're not a huge reader, this 100%, if you are a huge reader, but if you're not a huge reader, this 100% would be an excellent book to get, because it's, I feel like it'd be a good starter. Start with it and read just one chapter, which is typically 2 to 3 pages a day. 2 to 3 pages won't take too long, even if you're a slow reader. So it's a very good, it still make you feel accomplished, and you're getting a lot of really good value out of this book. So
Yeah,
highly recommend it.
when Zach told me about it, I was like, "Yeah." And then I started looking at. He sent me screenshots of the index with
You're
all the
welcome.
topics, and I was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool."
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
I found it to be really good, and I listened to it on Audible, and it's like a 4-hour listen to the whole thing. So it's pretty quick in comparison to the 6 to 8 hour long books that I normally do.
Yep.
So I mean, this one is really quick, but it's got a lot compressed into it, in a tiny package. So
Yep.
I
It's
really like it.
amazing.
So thank you for suggesting this one. And I'm not a big reader. I can't stand to read. Just like I read stuff on the screens all day, constantly. So to sit down and just open a book, I just don't want to do it. But I'll sit here and listen to a book all day long while I'm doing stuff. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your week.
You also.
Thank you. And everyone else, we will see you next week. Well, Shayna will see you on Thursday with Zach. Oh, no, Ginny's next week because you alternate. That's right.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, unless you come to the book club, and then you can see me
I don't know
every
if I can
Wednesday.
get up
It's
another extra hour
amazing.
early on
Listen,
Wednesdays, because it's Wednesdays,
values.
right? And
Surround
that's
yourself with
that's
amazing
my morning
people.
grind day.
Amazing people.
I know. You know what? You don't need how many people are in there? What, you got like 10 people in there?
I think 8.
8? Yeah, I mean,
And we get any bigger, we'll have to split.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I would
Which is
be an
fine. It's a
odd
good thing.
number. So
Oh.
you- lucky
Jason's been
number
coming,
9.
so he's probably
I
the
could be
odd.
lucky number 9.
You'll be Jason's pair. Anyways.
All right. Squirrel. All right, everybody, you have a wonderful day. We're going to end this right now. Bye.
Bye.